everybody. Welcome to Possible Live. Welcome back if you're joining us again. And I am so delighted you're here today to meet the amazing. So, Isabel, should I call you Izzy or should I call you Isabel? Which
As
which
long as
would you
you,
prefer? I should have
I
checked
actually
before.
prefer Isabel, but everybody calls me Izzy. So
Okay,
I'll answer to anything as long as it's not the phone too early in the morning.
it's no worries. I am definitely staying with Isabel because I absolutely love
Thank
your
you.
name.
Thank you. And thanks for asking. Most people don't.
It's it's a thing of nicknames, and I'm smiling because I know that Felipe Confino is about to have an audio room with some co-hosts about names and our labels and our identities. So it is.
Mm,
I like to double check, just like you meet somebody. What's the best way to stay in touch when they're interested? Is it a phone call? Is it an email? Is it a text? Is it a direct message? Is it snail mail? Is it a plane, and
smoke signal.
exactly, I love that. See, I would pick skywriting, or
You,
those cute little, those cute little things when you're laying on the beach and they're the planes. And I want to thank Isabel for this amazing distraction as I'm looking at the sun. I had hoped to be outside today, but now we're definitely dreaming of water. But thank you
yes.
for joining us today. And I met
Thank
the
you very much.
amazing Isabel in a group coaching membership that I was delighted. It's the reason why in our conversations we always talk about how we're meeting people, how we're building relationships. And
Hmm.
Isabel, I remember having my first conversation with Isabel in group coaching over the word mindset. And I
Yeah, because
appreciate
he
her.
hated it.
She said she didn't laugh. Hi
No?
Therese, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it is, you meet people in group
Hi,
coaching and you
Therese.
don't have a chance to say hi all the time. You don't have a
Hmm.
chance to learn their amazing gifts. Just like amazing Therese, we met in group coaching,
In the same group.
and if you don't take that step, there's somebody absolutely amazing at the other end who you may not ever have a chance to reach out and touch, or as we'll say today. And thanks, Isabel, for coming to play full out today at Impossible Live. We are delighted you're here today. Therese, you're welcome as a listener. You're welcome as a guest. You're welcome any way you want to come. And thank you for joining us with great energy today. So, Isabel, I want to give you a little bit of time to share with others. Hi, Emma. How are you? Welcome from sunny Philadelphia. Like to give you some time to kind of tell us about your gems so that the people who haven't had the pleasure yet of meeting Isabel. So, Isabel, I'm going to spotlight you and we're going
Thank
to
you.
give you a chance to kind of take it away and let our wonderful listeners meet you.
Well, that's better. Oh, I'm full screen too. Oh my god, that's scary. But come back on the screen. I feel awfully lonely when I'm alone on screen. I prefer having my host and the people that are kind enough to bring me to their show to actually have a great conversation with them. So I'm a mindset coach. And that was actually the origin of our the first time that we actually spoke to one another inside that group setting, just because you don't like the word mindset. And I totally understood where you were coming from, because I find it's been overused a little bit. It's just, mindset here, mindset there, mindset this. And of course, I'm a mindset coach. I do think that it's important, but we can't, I mean, eating calcium is good for you. Shoving it down your throat or having it shoved down your throat is not a good thing. So it's the same thing with mindset. As far as what I do for a living, I help leaders create their tailored dream team. So I use a very, very powerful tool that's called the Nova profile. Nova is a company that comes from Switzerland. And it is not a personality test. It is a great, great, great behavioral preferences assessment. So, how do we best talk to you? How do you like to be led? What is the best way to communicate with you? How do you respond to challenges? What motivates you? What are your deep motivation? And all of that, Melanie, is mindset. All of it. It's just that I help the leaders so they can show up and be better leaders for their team and then have a better work culture, because work culture, we bring our work home even when we try not to. We all do. We can come home, and if we had a pissy day at the office, we take it, on our spouses, on our kids, on our pets, on our communities, on the cashier at the grocery store. But if our work community, if our workplace, our work environment, culture of our businesses is more positive and more adapted for humans, for crying out loud, then it has an effect on everybody around us, and we can show up in a positive way. So that's that's why I decided to focus on the mindset of leaders. And yeah, that's it.
That's amazing. And Appa, beautiful, wonderful dog in the background. He's loving Isabel's voice. So Appa will have more to say as we listen to his barks today. I think
It's the French accent. All dogs refer
oh,
to,
I think he's loving it. He's Australian, so I think he's loving it. He's absolutely loving
Oh,
it.
is
He's
he an
also
Australian Shepherd?
yes, I believe he is. I've got amazing
Oh.
pictures of Appa, and he's actually made it into a video that I did for Visibility Gym. I brought Appa. Appa, I promise we're coming to visit. We're coming to visit. I think the thing too, and I love what you're saying about mindset, and Therese is even saying it. I think sometimes from the years in marketing or in helping people promote events to not be the best kept secret, certain
Mm,
words keep popping up.
yeah.
And Therese said it about when we overuse terms. And I think Melanie Mitchell Wexler will laugh at me because Melanie helped me explore my allergy to the word pivot. And I think that's what happens occasionally. We have words that just they stick. Like
Mhm.
while we're here and we can say it straight up, our actions and body language matter. The word empowerment for me, I and Teresa's really weighing in here. Many leaders have different goals, and I love that about your trainings, and you're helping us really look at who's on our team and what our roles are.
Yeah.
And Teresa's talking about mindset. See, whether it's a hard skill or a soft skill, I think of them as necessary and critical skills. And however they're packaged, however they're looked at from a vision, mission, revenue perspective, return on engagement, return on investment, it depends on our perspectives of which and how we really look at them. And
Mhm.
I think sometimes that's what happens with the words, which is why I really love that Isabel and I reached today's topic. Our actions and body language matter. We know our words matter. We know how we show up matters, how the energy we bring. I felt Isabel's incredible energy the first time
Thank
we
you.
spoke.
Thank you.
And I love that I didn't offend you because some people are like, this is my thing, this is my jam. And I think we really, as you would say, and Therese maybe said it, the impact and the value. We have to listen for what's important to each other. But I love what you're saying about the actions and the body language matter. I
Mm-hmm.
owe someone an apology from last month. The process of dealing with a family emergency,
Mm.
and I had some writing I was going to share with them, and I apologized, and I let them know I need to reread what it was that I was supposed to give a comment on because my mind is blank. Now that's not my normal style,
Mm-hmm.
but I think sometimes how we're showing up or how we're feeling. And I loved it because the minute I said I had a thing with mindset, Isabel just sat back and relaxed. It wasn't
Yeah.
about, oh my gosh, she's questioning my validity. She's questioning my why. She's questioning my purpose. And I just loved you just relaxed and you lean back. You're like, we're good.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that welcome, that invitation. But I think sometimes, just like we're saying, whether we're moving forward or away, especially in terms of teams, we may encourage a team member. We may also discourage a potential client. They're not sure why we're leaning in or why we're leaning out.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days of having to lots of FaceTime in the office, in front of our leaders. I was in the garment industry. It was like camping out. You might as well have brought a pillow and a toothbrush because it really could feel like you were there that long. But I love that you're helping us, and I loved it. You're looking to help the rebel become the rock star, and I absolutely
Yeah.
love that. It's the
Yeah.
acknowledgement that in that disruptor, there's that potential to be an amazing team member. How would you suggest they, mm, and it's not even a matter, I guess, of actions and body language, but where do you start with rebels, Isabel, to kind of
Well,
inspire them?
well, first of all, the rebels is not a negative. Being rebellious is not negative, not in the way that I see. And rebellious people are the people that get things done. They're the people who are focused on the solution, focused. It's not about being disruptive. It's about not fitting in the mold. That's it. It's truly, and I know how to deal with rebellious people because I am one. Because when I used to work for other people, none of my bosses knew how to handle me and what to do with me. And none of them would say that my work ethic wasn't there or that was, it's just, if it makes no sense, if there's a better way, if it's a more efficient way to do this, then I'm not going to conform. However, it's not being an outlaw. It's not going against the rules or regulations just for the hell of it. It's because there's a better way. Now, rebels don't necessarily go in their boss's office and tore some stuff up or anything like that. That's not what it is. Not in the way that I see it. It is about getting things done in an innovative way. And the worst thing that you can do to a rebel is to not give them the space to ask questions, challenge the status quo, come up with better ideas, share their ideas without being bullied or, mind you, rebels don't give a fuck, but without being, welcome. Because the last thing that you want to do in any corporation, coming from a rebel or coming from anybody else in your organization, you don't want your employees to leave their good ideas in their car in the parking lot of your building. So you need to have that space and hold that space for people to be allowed to share ideas without being judged, without being bullied, without being said, no, 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 that's not how we do things here. And when I was an employee, if you really wanted to rub me the wrong way, all I had to say was that. That's not how things are done here. Well, if I come up with a better way, a quicker solution, something that would work better, save time, save money, save energy, save heartache, save in-house fighting, save all these things. And the only reason you're pushing back and saying, no, we're not going to take your ideas is because of the status quo, I am walking out the door. And that's why I know how to deal with rebellious people, because I am rebellious. You can't,
See, I love that, and especially in Kristen and Sindal, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly.
yes, you are. That's my friend, Cinda.
Sindel, I love it because they're giving us your hashtag rebel to rock star, and I think as you're saying, the hardest part sometimes is that, ooh, thank you so much. And that this may be Jill Blooming, who's under Rebels Unite today. It I think what happens is many times people get used to fitting into molds,
Mhm,
the cookie cutter.
mhm,
They feel the need to conform. I'm a
mhm,
mental fitness through positive intelligence coach, and it's interesting because some would laugh that I have a thing about the word mindset.
mhm,
It's just my thing. It means sometimes, as you're saying, that for each of us, we have a way we define stuff. We have a way we refine stuff. We have different ways we learn, different ways we communicate. And oh, Kristen's telling you, got another merch idea, Isabel. Kristen, we got to hang out. I'm working on a merchandise order for a client.
Ah,
I love that you're mentioning it. And
yeah, Kristen and myself and Sindel, and I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't read the comments, but we're all part of this great LinkedIn group. It's called the Hands of Business Community, uh, led by this fabulous guy that's called Mike Asherbranger, who's my best bud now. He's like a redneck Batman, and we keep on telling Mike, and that I think that's why Kristen is saying that now is we keep on bugging Mike that we need merch. so so we need rebellious merch now. That's
thanks so much for plugging the Hounds of Business Community. I had the pleasure to meet Mike in one of Lachelle Atkins, America's Supermom, one of
oh
her
yeah.
real TV communities. And he led our group in
Oh,
our holiday song. And we were teasing him because someone wanted him to rap. It was kind of late in our day. It was really late in our day. And I remembered his incredible energy because he
yeah.
had to use our words in the rap. They weren't necessarily his words. So, Therese, wow. I like what you're saying about the contours. Cookie cutters have sharp edges that prevent ideas from spreading beyond the preformed
Mm,
contours. That is a deep mic drop, Therese. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and like everything, like cookie cutter, like I'm 5'10", right? And what I the way that I say that, especially when I'm in person, the way that I say it is, don't try to fit me in a box. I'm too tall, man. I don't fit in boxes. I just can't. It goes against my nature. But the reality is whether people are capable of saying that it's against their nature or not is one thing, but they shouldn't have to, right? So this is not 1973 and the barking orders, banging your fist on the conference room table, and this is not 1973. The job of the leader is to serve the and not the other way around. And I think that there's still, well, I don't think, I know because I see it in my job that there's still a lot of bosses. It becomes an ego trip. It becomes a um a power thing where, well, they're the boss and they hold your job in their hands. It's, well, you know what? It's the other way around. And you know what? When I do a team assessment, Melanie, the first thing that I do is I have every single team member write a performance evaluation report on their boss. And I'm the only one that reads it. And it's anonymous because I don't want people to think that they're going to lose their boss over what they're saying. But if 9 out of 10 people, it's a questionnaire, and if 9 out of 10 people say that the same thing or draw something about, a flaw or something that the boss should improve or anything like that, then it's not one person. It's not a vendetta. It's not a personality clash. It is how that person is leading. And you can't change the team if the mindset or the way, I call that leader shift. If the leader isn't willing to adapt to their team, then it's never going to work. They're just going to keep on having high turnovers and losing employees. And I tap into that because people are shocked by that price, by how much it costs. Company turnover, the employee turnover costs 1.5 to 2 times the annual salary of the person who's leaving. So, like, if one person leaves, that's one thing, especially if it's retirement. If 2 people leaves the same boss, well, maybe you should ask questions. Maybe it's a coincidence. But when half the team are silently quitting or literally quitting, then it's a leadership problem. It's a company culture problem. And that has to be addressed. If not, you're just going to redo the same mistake over and over and over and over and over again. Right?
Well, the chat is blowing up that you can't see. So
No.
we're gonna thank Marnie. We're gonna thank Karen for popping in. And Kristen is reminding us leader shift.
Yes.
And Teresa's in love with it. And and Sindal's saying if the leader isn't willing to adapt to their team will not adapt to the situation. But I
No,
think
that's
sometimes,
right.
like you're saying, some cultures are rigid, others are unforgiving,
Yes.
others can be unresponsive.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. I was having a discussion last week about the old fashioned days of having a suggestion box, and that one of the companies that I worked with had a suggestion box, and we had a team meeting one day, and I was pretty new at the point they were having this. And the person says, you know, I've never seen anyone, all I see are people putting suggestions in the suggestion box that's near the elevator. I never see anyone taking the suggestions out of it.
Mm.
It was really interesting because this was way back when. And the leaders then had to find who had the key to the suggestion box because they put the box up there, but there wasn't a plan to ever review the information. So that day, we were at a meeting without an agenda, and then there immediately became one. So, locating the key,
And
creating a
opening the
system
suggestion
for
box.
who would open
Yeah.
that box previously. That box had tons of paper in it, tons of paper, some type notes, some handwritten, others, maybe they were in crayon. I have no idea. But the scary part about it was finally that day, that one day,
Mm.
there was an interest in what might be in that box. And one of the supervisors there was kind of bold and creative. And they said, why don't we read what's in the suggestion box out loud? And let's
Mm-hmm.
see if anybody here agrees with the suggestion that's in there, or if maybe they have an improvement that can be made to resolve the issue that's on there. Since we didn't have an agenda today, can we
Mm-hmm.
maybe collect feedback? And it was interesting because all of the employees, we were ready, but this was a family owned business. And it took a little while for the body language and the actions to realize that everybody now was really interested in what was in that box. And their culture didn't permit free expression. Their
Mm-hmm.
culture really didn't encourage free expression. It was also a 3-month job. I was very grateful for that. I learned a lot in a short period of time. I'm not saying that I won't work in another family owned business. I learned a lot,
Yeah.
about why we don't have so many cooks in the kitchen. But I love what you're saying too from from our observations part, because as you're saying, culturally our actions might not matter and our body language might not align with the mission of the day. I really remember back then
Mm,
watching how uncomfortable physically people were.
yes.
You had men kind of loosening their ties, people clearing their throat. Others were like, this was before we all had a water bottle. Everybody's ready for a cup and like to line up at the water cooler. And really, it was a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
And really, there was nothing in that culture to encourage or permit us to respond in a different way, you know?
Yeah. And one of the pushback that I get from leaders, yes, but I want to show up authentically. And you and I have had this discussion. I hate that word. I hate the word authentic as much as you hate the word mindset. And I'm going to tell you why. Not because I have anything against being authentic. Of course I don't. I am authentic. I am who I am with you live, alone and in the bedroom. I'm who I am. I showed up. I show up as who I am. But it has been overused like it's a trademark. I remember one of the first one-on-one conversations that I had with you, and you said, I like genuine. And one of the pushback that I get the most often with every leader that I get is, yes, but I have to, be me and lead as me. Yes, but being authentic or genuine doesn't mean you're incapable of adapting. And when you're the one that wants something, right? You want your team to perform at their highest level because you have numbers to crunch and you have to report to upper management. You want something. I said this before, I'm going to say it again. This isn't 1973 anymore. Just the fact that you're depositing money in their bank account every 2 weeks is not a good reason to be an asshole. So if you want something, you need to adapt yourself to the person you want something from and not the other way around. So when you learn how to speak and adapt your communication style, your leadership style, when you learn what motivates each and every single member of your team, imagine how much time you save. Because how long does it take to get to know someone this deeply? To know what motivates that person. How do I communicate with this person effectively? Because some people, you need to go in their office and ask how their day was and ask how their husband is doing or wife or whatever, how their dog is doing, and their grandmother's still alive. And you need to care about the individual because they are extremely interaction oriented. That is what feeds them. This is a need they have. It's not a pet peeve, it is a need they have. And if you don't do that, they're gonna look at you and they're not gonna respond well because you're not satisfying their need. And other people, you need to get in their office. You don't need to care. You don't need to ask them how their mother is doing. They don't need you to care. And they're the least word you're going to use. You can talk in bullet points. You can be in the office less than 10 seconds. You're going to satisfy their need by doing so. But if you don't know which one is which, You might mix them up. And if you do, you're pissing everybody off, right? So it's about adapting yourself, your leadership, your communication, your everything to your team. But in order to do that, you need to know them in a profound way. And that does not mean knowing their bra size or what color underwear they're wearing today. That's not what it means. It means, how do they show up in the world? What is their behavior preferences? How do they communicate? What is their areas of development? And that's what you get by working with me. You get
Oh,
that.
I love this because Isabel, you're mentioning the empathy part. You're mentioning the how we show up. You're mentioning the interest in what others care about and how they care to share, which to me, I've always said I love working with dynamic leaders who have inclusive cultures
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to offer solutions to brighten our fragile world. The first time I said fragile world, somebody's like, I'm not sure I understand it. And I really appreciate that group membership because I said it and 15 people looked at me like, what in the world is fragile world? It reminded me that my prior actions did not set them
Mm-hmm.
up to understand whatever the
Yeah.
language was. We
Yeah.
weren't on the same page. We didn't care necessarily about the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't necessarily live on the same sides of the street. We
Mm-hmm.
weren't necessarily sitting truly opposite each other at a table. I appreciated the questioning eyes. Like, what in the world
Mm-hmm.
is she talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It also helped me realize, and Emma's asking the harder question, how do you get someone to recognize they need to do a leadership if you don't manage them? I love this question because I'm telling you, Emma, Isabel and I could talk about this one for about 3 hours.
Oh yeah. If we run out of batteries on our computer.
I
Yeah.
think too, Emma, internal awareness, self awareness, mutual awareness, external awareness. It's and in some cases, some would say we need to think of biases. What did
Yeah.
somebody bring with them in the bag that we can't see that they packed for lunch that day?
Yeah.
And I think the cue signs. Um, Someone asked a really hard question last week in a positive intelligence community that I'm in. I really appreciated the question. It helped me write about 2,000 words as an answer because I think internal recognition, we have to be the one to be interested in turning off the ignition switch. There's got to be something in our receptiveness. Um, and I really appreciate it. This is definitely from Jill. Jill is talking about somatic experiences. Isabel, how would you tackle Emma's original question about the
I'm
recognition?
what was the question again? Sorry, like, I'm
It
not wearing
was
my
it was
glasses, so I really can't see.
how do you get someone to recognize they need to do a leader shift if you
Hmm.
don't manage them?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It really is a tough one because unless it comes from their higher up, they might be it has you have to be very tactful. Um in any communication, you need to bring the value they would gain from it. So, what if they had to deal with less infighting inside their team? What if they would save a lot of time by being a better communicator? What if you when you want somebody to do something they don't think that they need and they don't know that they need, you have to tap into how beneficial is it going to be for them. And that's, again, your spouse, your dog, your neighbor, your boss, your employees. I heard this great story. This did not happen to me, but I think it explains well what real communication is. So this lady has been married to her husband for 37 years. And when they bought their first house as newlyweds, from the moment she walked in the house, she hated her kitchen. Now, she was a housewife, and the husband was an accountant. And he controlled the money because he earned the money. And once in a while, the first few years of marriage, she would bug him and talk about, well, it'd be better, it'd be more efficient if the kitchen was bigger and blah, blah, blah. And the kids are getting bigger and there's more room and blah, blah, blah. And you go on and on and on and on and on for almost 4 decades. And this lady, she goes to a conference, and one of the uh, speaker talks about the importance of communication. So she runs after the conference, she runs into him in the hallway and she taps on his shoulder and she says, "How do I convince my husband to renovate my kitchen?" And the communication specialist says, "I don't know. Talk to me about your husband. What does he do for a living?" "He's an accountant." "Okay. How long have you guys been married?" 37 years. "Okay. I'm guessing he's controlling the money." "Oh, yes, he is." "Okay. When is retirement?" "Oh, 5 to 7 years." "Okay. What's your plan for retirement?" "What's his plan for retirement?" "Oh, well, actually," and then she goes into explaining what motivates her husband. He likes fishing, and they have a small cottage by a lake not too far away, like an hour and a half away. And he loves that cottage. And as soon as he takes his retirement, they're going to move to the cottage and he's going to build a garage, and he's already dreaming of the boat, and and everything around the fact that he's going to be able to go fishing every day. And then the communication specialist looks at the wife and says, "Well, would the house sell easier if the kitchen was renovated? Would the house be sold more money than even the cost of the renovation? In comparison, renovate the kitchen, this is how much you get. Renovate the kitchen, this is how much you get. And the difference between the two is 2 times, 3 times the price of the renovation of the kitchen." And then the woman goes back home and she started doing her homework because she's dealing with an accountant. And this is the comparison. This is the neighbor's house that sold for X number of thousands of dollars more because their kitchen was renovated. And this is on how many days on average faster that it sold. And with the difference between the two, you could get this for your garage to put your boat, and you could buy a bigger boat, or you can buy a faster boat, or you can she made it all about him. Between you and I, Melanie, what are the chances that she got her new kitchen?
I think based on your secondary approach, which had multiple steps to it, but really took the decision maker into account, how they thought, how they learned, what was important to them, what they value, and the vision part, the second system of how to approach it. And I think that can really be the challenging. We've got more hounds of business in the house with us. So hi to D. Grant Smith. Hi
Oh,
to
Dee.
Melissa.
Hi,
Yep,
Melissa.
yep. You've got and Sindel still here with mic drops, just loving your mic drops. And Tehran saying to us that understanding the style of the leader you are is key to the success of your team.
Yes.
If your style of leading doesn't allow for the learning style of your team,
Yes.
can be a great recipe for low performance
Yes.
and lack of engagement from the
Yeah.
team.
And every team member should, every team leader should do an assessment, if only for themselves. If only to understand, how do they lead? What's your leadership style? How do you show up when you put your suit and tie, regardless if you're a man or a woman? It doesn't matter. When you put your work clothes on, how do you show up to lead? That's extremely important. And I honestly, I think, Melanie, that we are all, excuse me, we all think we all think that we know ourselves. And there's a 2018 study from Harvard University that says 80 to 86% of people think that they are extremely high, that they have extremely high self-awareness, when in reality between 7 and 10% of people actually do. We think we know ourselves, and we are the worst. Even after I've been in coaching, in therapy, doing the work on personal development for the past 30 years. And just 3 weeks ago, I was meeting with my coach, because of course I have a coach. I have two of them. And I'm, I'm, I came Melanie, I swear, I came face to face with a limiting belief that started when I was 5 years old, 47 years ago. And I came face to face with that limiting belief. It hit me like the 2x4 across the head. I swear to God, I didn't know I had it. That's 30 years of therapy, of coaching, on working on myself, on reading books, on applying the methods, on practicing daily gratitude, on doing the work for 30 years. And I'm still learning stuff about me. So when we are open just a little bit to find out more, what better way to become a better person, to become a better leader, to show up as yourself genuinely? Because I hate the word authentic. We've said that already. What better gift to give it to yourself than find out how is your brain wired? Because that's what we're talking about, right? What are
Oh,
your
you are
needs?
so, Isabel, you are so setting us up for our next live. Because
Anytime.
some would say we're in the weeds. We're not in the weeds. We're going deeper. So when
Yeah.
Isabella comes back, we're going to continue talking about leadership. And Melissa may have said it best. Isabel understands the nuances of leadership and people like no other. But I think, like you're saying, from your heart, it starts from where we are. It starts
Yes.
from having the ability to learn something new. I'm delighted. My mom just walked in and I'm learning from her
Mm.
how to always, not just how to learn to earn, because mom's the it's one of the fun parts of being the daughter of a scholar, as friends have helped me describe it. But I think it's the reminder to always be willing to learn something new. But if that
Mhm.
doesn't start with ourselves, none of the rest of it gets in. You don't get the ahas. We don't get the transformations. We don't
Yeah.
get those cute little waves or jumps for joys.
Mhm.
One of my wonderful coaches calls them, what new ahas have you experienced? And I
Mhm.
laughed because in the beginning I never thought of them as ahas, and I listened to her explain them back in a different language so that I could see the movement from one place to another. But I love, as you're saying, just that leader shift that you
Mm.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I probably am approaching it from the lens of being a certified trust coach. So
Mhm.
around what makes us different. And I love your exercise of starting with teams to ask them for feedback
Yeah.
about where the leader's at so that you can really kind of accurately assess where the culture's at.
Yeah.
Because many times, as leaders or as observers, we're looking at different levels, different layers, different views. I always call it kaleidoscope, was my word. And
Yeah.
I think it's from sitting around the table with people of different cultures, different ages, different perspectives. We need that.
Mm. Yes.
So, Isabel, besides inviting us to come hang out in Hounds of Business community,
Yeah.
where
Come
can our
connect with me.
where can our guests find you, and how can they keep in touch with you?
Oh, LinkedIn is where I hang. Honestly, this is where I spend a better part of my day. So my name, as it's spelled on the screen, is the way to reach me. I do have a YouTube channel, and if you go and subscribe to it, I would love it because I think I have like 12 subscribers. So, which is
I just
nothing,
subscribed
but hey,
last
it's
week. I just subscribed
exact.
last week, and under
Oh,
Isabel's name is
yes,
Isabelle Fortin 991. That's how you find
yes.
her on YouTube.
Thank
And thank
you.
you also for shouting this out on your multiple channels. But
Yeah,
Isabel,
yes.
I can tell you our next conversation is about leadership.
That's okay.
It's absolutely, there's no hands down about it. So we'll find a good way to put that on the calendar. But Isabel, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for smiles across the miles, for not running away when I said I was allergic to mindset.
Oh, no, of course not.
I appreciate it. Isabel's like, oh, run, 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 run.
Uh,
Run to the curiosity, run to
I
the
don't scare that
exploration.
easy.
And we appreciate you for that. Just wanted to say and thank everybody for popping in and joining us. And
Yeah, thanks for the hounds. You guys rock. You're always there. Every live they show up. They're great. Get bunch of people. Connect with all of them. Connect with me if we're not connected. Connect with Melanie. If you're in the hounds and you don't know Melanie, go and discover this extraordinary human being. And I'm gonna do everything to bring her to the hounds too.
well, thank you so much. And tell Mike I haven't had a chance to see Mike since he tried to do a Christmas wrap and Christmas in July
I
at,
want proof of that. I want
at
proof of
Michelle's.
that.
There's a recording somewhere. There's a
Okay,
recording
I'll find
somewhere.
it.
That's that. So Michael would laugh. That's how we met. You know, in a breakout room where we gave him lines for a rap, for a holiday rap in July. But we
Oh,
want to
that's funny.
thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for popping in, whether you're joining us today or on a replay or on a different channel, or you're just shouting us out to introduce us to somebody else like wonderful you. And Isabel is definitely the reminder when you meet somebody in those membership communities, and you may only have a chance to see them once or twice, make sure that you follow intelligent, smiling, wonderful people like this amazing woman who tells
Thank you.
you like it is and and speaks all of our language. So I really want to thank you just popping and making my day and joining us. And to everyone else, stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, stay in touch, and have a magnificent day filled with opportunities and possibilities. Thanks again, Isabel, for joining us.